Hello everyone, this is a short update about my progress with the game engine. I have improved the terrain rendering and the terrain mesh generation. I've also learned how to make a compute shader that can modify the terrain, so this makes the terrain editor much more capable of complex calculations quickly and get instant feedback. I've also looked at input handling. I had a solution there, but it was a bit overly complicated, so I'm making a new one that is much more simple. But for now I'm using parts of the old solution. I've learned a lot from making videos also about reflection and how hard it is to not say and which I'm trying to avoid. This channel's subscriber count has skyrocketed 100% from 5 subscribers to 10. So first I experimented with just having the height field, as can be seen. So it looks like a flat texture, but it's actually a few million points. And while working on this, I encountered a bug. No, not that kind of a bug, so instead this happens. This was because when I was calculating the average of a bunch of neighboring pixels, I was only going to use everything within a radius, but I accidentally took things outside of the radius, and that ended up in a negative weight. The bright dot here is because I was testing the screen space coordinates in the fragment shader a bit. The grid is now very hexagonal, which is nice, which is what I wanted from the beginning. The initial grid was more of a square. Here we have some height banding that comes because of this texture that I'm using for the height map. It's an 8-bit texture, and therefore you get some distinct steps from one value to the next, and this causes this banding. But by using my smoothing algorithm that is in the compute shader, I can very quickly dismantle that. But right now that is a very aggressive smoothing, so it will also take away other details that you may want to keep. I made it so I can toggle between wireframe and filled-in triangle, which is nice when trying to get a sense of the topology. So initially I was using draw elements, which takes a buffer of indices to draw triangles. And when drawing triangles like this, it will draw each triangle one at a time. So that means to describe each triangle you need 3 indices. And that's kind of wasteful. A better way is to use what's called a strip. Then you first need 3 vertices or indices to vertices to define the first triangle, and then you just add 1 index for each new triangle, like so. So right now in the simplified input handling, I'm just reading some states, and then I will just increase some values based on the time that frame is from the last time. In the camera handling, I'm using the camera matrix in order to know what direction I'm looking at, and so that way I can implement strafing and going forward and backward. I'm using a velocity that I increase, and therefore I also have some dampening, so that if you let go of the button it stops and doesn't just float away. Here I'm dispatching the job to the GPU for smoothing the terrain, and here I also have a memory barrier, so that I'm sure that the job is complete before I go to the next frame. This should ideally not be run in the same thread. I'm still just testing things, so I'll have it here for now. And here is the compute shader, and it's a fairly simple weighted average, like an image kernel of 7 by 7 pixels. This is the height map that I've been using for testing things, and I found this on a website. I haven't looked very deeply at this website, but I'll link it because they seem to contain quite a lot of information regarding graphics or terrain generation. In my channel presentation video, I asked for feedback.
I am happy to receive any feedback that you may have.
And I have got some. And this is TUS. thank you everyone for watching. See you next time.